to this protocol was really as a 36-year-old woman, when that urogynecologist looked me in the eyeballs and said, I don't like doing this surgery on women this as young as you, because you're going to have to get this again. And I was just like, okay, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain at this point. I'm going to just try everything that I know to try as an exercise physiologist, thinking outside of the box. So that way, if I do need to get surgery, then I will know that I have exhausted everything that I know to do possible. And so that's, again, another, I was a Kegel queen. And if Kegels really do strengthen those muscles in the way that we need them to function, then my pelvic organs wouldn't have been falling out of my body.
Oh my goodness. And so he was at this stage, he's like, all I can do for you, since you've mastered Kegels and it hasn't solved the problem, all I can do is that we're going to have to go in and typically what do they do? Almost like a mesh, right? They like kind of put in this is what I've heard anyway. They put in a mesh that will kind of uplift and then support those organs again. But then he said, even then, I'm going to have to eventually do it again one day too, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So before surgery, you were like, let me see if I can figure something else out. And when we look at the anatomy, that's why I think going to your YouTube channel and looking at some of these visual diagrams and videos to help you fully understand, when you look, you're going to see we've got muscles all around this area. Yes. We've got muscles coming all the way from our abdominal cavity all the way down. And then we've got our hip flexors and the rotators and the inner thighs all connecting up into here, right? Like
that's correct.
Our pelvis is surrounded by muscles on every side, inside and outside. And so you're like, there must be something else that with all these muscles here that can help me more than just Kegels. And another thing that you had said, which I don't think people know because I didn't realize it either, was you said another thing that's currently done to help women in this area is a physical manipulation up into, I'm assuming up into the vaginal area.
That's correct. And into the vaginal opening.
And so that can be effective. However, that is very, I don't even know what the word can be for some people.
Shaming. And it's really, invasive. I will say it's invasive. And I know for me personally, after having the birth injuries and the trauma with that, it was a loss of dignity to have someone manipulate me in that way in such a vulnerable time. I mean, we're talking about really delicate issues that are embarrassing to go to someone and ask for help with. As a grown woman, to say, I don't have control of my bowel and bladder. What can I do for this? It's very hard to ask for help. And it's something that Christina and I are extremely passionate about, because the messages that we get in our inbox all of the time are shaming by other health professionals. I mean, myself included in this. When I went to my urogynecologist, I had to fight for that referral to that urogyno, because she just said, I see this all the time. This is normal. This is common. Well, okay, great. I mean, it's a shame that it is common, but there needs to be a little more empathy and compassion and information for women to know that, no, this isn't normal. And there are things that you can do to help yourself.
Yes. And the other thing is like you mentioned, they also have type of stimulating devices ultimately that they can put, in both areas, right? But sometimes people don't feel comfortable or want to do that either. And so what I love about what you guys have developed together is it is nothing invasive. It is no one and no thing having to go up inside of you, which can be very embarrassing and shaming and very uncomfortable and all of these things. It doesn't have to be that way. You found a way using specific exercises and a specific protocol to train the muscles as a whole surrounding that area, inside and outside, without anything having to go penetrating inside of you to help with this problem. So ladies, there is help out there. There is different options out there for you. And that's why I knew immediately we must have you on the podcast, because we have to let people know that there are advances in new things that are happening. You guys have a published study in a medical journal. It's incredible to be able to show that, yes, this can work. This not only can work, this does work. And it's just beautiful. And you told me that shockingly, at least what was shocking to me, is you have received a lot of pushback and a lot of just fighting against this new way that is going against the old ways, which are very invasive and uncomfortable for people. And I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it was very shocking to Christina and myself to get the pushback from other women's health practitioners. And, neither one of us would have thought of ourselves as disruptors, we kind of think of that as like someone angry coming in and like really, but we are fired up and passionate about getting this out there. But better, you do better. And, the more research that comes out, and again, we are not poo-pooing, no pun intended, women's health practitioners. I do think that there is a place for that. But, my wish is that when they do get patients, every single one doesn't necessarily need to be manipulated internally. A lot of this stuff can be taken care of very easily with simply activating all those muscles. So many women are walking around with simple pelvic floor dysfunction, which is a fancy word for you got pregnant, your hips and ribs got wider. And, there are certain things that happen during pregnancy, like a separation of the abdominals. Towards the end of pregnancy, just from a sheer physics perspective and biomechanics, the glutes kick off and the pelvic floor spreads. So it gets weaker. And sometimes these women just need a little nudge to get these muscles back on board and working together again synchronously to get that support. And, I just geek out about this stuff because it is so easy and quick, particularly for those women. We are truly talking about so many women in the first couple of sessions saying, oh my goodness, my posture has shifted. The back tightness is gone. I feel more in control of my bodily functions. We promise some money back guarantee in 30 days because truly, if you follow this protocol 5 days a week for 4 weeks, magic happens.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. That's so exciting. It's just like this beautiful glimmer of hope. So for the women that are listening right now that have either been dealing with this themselves and just reconciled themselves to, I guess this is just the way it is. I had babies and this is just the way it is. There's nothing I can do. I tried Kegels. It didn't work. It is what it is. No, it doesn't have to be that way. You can get back the form and the function and the control of your body that you had pre-pregnancy. Yes. And for those that have been really struggling, advanced in age where they're really beginning to lose bladder control or bowel control, this should be a huge excitement for you that there is something else that can be done. And I'm thrilled for the work you guys have done, for the research you've done. And we would love to hear if you want to share 1 or 2 stories as well, just about some incredible things that you have seen with the women going through your protocol.
Well, I know, the exciting and the ones that really pull at my heartstrings are obviously the prolapse ladies in the program. I will say with prolapse, that 30 days to really gain back full control, you're going to start to feel the difference in the first 30 days. There's going to be some improvements, but to get back to exercising in the way that they were, that's really more 90 to 120 days to really strengthen that. So I don't want to overpromise results in that regard, but there's been several ladies who came to us who were referred for surgery, who didn't need surgery, who came to us and had, 1 stage of prolapse and reversed a full stage of prolapse. And just for reference, it's stage 0 to 4. And I will say that our program works best for stages 0 to 2. We can confidently say that you can reverse that. We have worked with women who are more progressed, but sometimes they need the assistance of something like a pessary, which is kind of an an insertion of a device that's like scaffolding for the pelvic bowl. So those are my favorite. Women who were told by their doctors, they kind of got stuck in that cycle of frustration where they've had injections in their hip and back for pain and didn't recognize or connect the dots that the separation of their abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor weakness and the P leaks and the back stuff is all connected and can be fixed with one thing. So, hearing those, voice memos and getting those emails and getting those messages in our private group. I mean, it's what we live for. I mean, it really is. We're on a very, very big mission to ideally get this type of care accessible to all women.
Absolutely. I love that. And so, like you said, it's a program, it's a training program for all these different muscles surrounding your pelvic area, and no type of devices that have to go inside of you. Everything can be done externally, which is so fantastic, giving you that privacy and that dignity to be able to do that and complete these activities. And you said 5 days a week for 4 weeks is kind of the initial, getting started, really giving that big push to start seeing and feeling changes and differences. That's amazing.
Yes.
So we have a special code for all of my listeners here. So we will get you that special code so that you can get a discount for those that want to check out the Tighten Your Tinkler program and really step forward into the research that Jen and Christina have done in order to move forward and make tangible change in this area that you thought you just had to, well, it just is what it is. I guess this is my life now. Doesn't have to be. And so we've got a real special code for you guys as well.
And if we can just wrap up, because I do want to speak to the ladies who may be having discomfort with intimacy, because a lot of these issues that we're talking about, while they're emotional with our own self-confidence in bodies, it also has a tremendous impact on your marriage. And I know that was true for me. And all I can tell you is we have so many testimonies of women who aren't afraid anymore of the pain and discomfort that was caused by intimacy, and improving that part of their lives as well, and being able to nurture that relationship as well. We can also send you our partner guide. That is kind of a document that walks you through, and I know I needed this for myself, of how to even talk to my husband about this, how to discuss these intimate issues and explain them to your husband, because I know many of the women that I talk to in our coaching program are embarrassed to even have that conversation with their spouse.
Absolutely.
Another great place that women could start is if they come over to tightenyourtinkler.com. If any of this resonated with you and you're thinking, gosh, is this me? We have a 5-minute quiz that you can take that will grade you based on our study participants and kind of give you a range that you fall into in terms of severity of issues and make some recommendations for you.
Wow, that is fantastic. So that is tightenyourtinkler.com. Very catchy.
Yes.
I think that's a very sweet way to be handling a very delicate situation and a very personal thing that women are going through. So tightenyourtinkler.com. I love that. I think taking that quiz, that sounds wonderful, just to really have a better idea, where do you fall and what are those next steps that you could do? And the partner guide, I mean, that's beautiful because, man, you've gone through so much, having a baby and having this crazy life altering experience. Yes. And then when your body isn't the same afterwards, and that absolutely is going to affect the intimacy with your partner, with your husband, how very, very challenging. It just adds another layer of the new life that you're trying to step into as now being parents and being a mom, and all the life disruption that happens. And then now you have this extra disruption between you and your husband because of these issues that are going on in your body that weren't there before. And so I love that. I really appreciate that. I love that you guys have not only found this incredible protocol that is better than Kegels, let's just say it is better than Kegels, more effective, and it doesn't involve inserting of a device or having to get manually manipulated by a therapist or by a doctor. It doesn't have to be that way.